Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile, with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Selling a little or a lot? Do your thing however you cha-ching with Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/offer23.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile, with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile, with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Selling a little or a lot? Do your thing however you cha-ching with Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/offer23.
I always say, eat the foods you love and the foods that love you back. So stop eating foods that make you feel horrible.
Yeah. Hey girl, imagine a life where you feel supported, connected, and understood. I get it. Being a mom is hard, especially when you're spinning so many plates. We exhaust ourselves trying to create the perfect life for our family. You deserve to enjoy your family without the stress perfectionism brings. On this podcast, I provide practical and relatable life experiences. I teach women quick and easy-to-use strategies to help them reclaim their identity, reignite their marriage, and enjoy their children. If you're ready to be challenged, then pull up a chair, grab pen and paper, because it's about to go down. I'm Veronica Cisneros, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and this is the Empowered and Unapologetic Podcast. Hey, Laurie, I am so excited to be on here with you for like 50,000 reasons that we're going to totally get into.
It's going to be so much fun. Thank you, Veronica.
Absolutely. I totally feel like this is going to be a little bit of a therapy session where I'm not the therapist, though. Where I'm not the therapist.
Good. Just give me all you got.
Okay, so I'm super excited because we're coming into the new year. We're recording this in December. And I'm getting so many questions with regards to intermittent fasting. So before we get to all of the goodness, can you tell us how you started? Like, how did this come about?
Yes. I have considered myself a healthy eater, a health conscious person since my late 20s, when I woke up one day and I was like, I think all those Diet Cokes might not be so good for me. Maybe they're not making me not feel so well. And so that began this desire to feel better and better, and to put things in my body and to move my body in a way that has me feel great and be healthy. And then when I was 44, I went into perimenopause, and they don't send us to biology class for older women.
No.
And so I just thought my air conditioner had broken. was broken. I was like, I need a new AC. It is hot in here.
It's hot in here. Yeah, where do I go to get one?
That's one aspect of perimenopause and menopause that we understand. It might be happening, are hot flashes, but we don't know really how absolutely horrible that feels.
Yeah.
And we don't know all the other things that are intertwined, and all the ways that our bodies and our minds change, and the hormonal imbalances that happen with perimenopause. And perimenopause is before things start changing. You're in premenopause, and then you're in perimenopause, which is, those hormones are changing. It's all out of whack. And then menopause is when that one day after you haven't had your cycle for a year, you are now post-menopausal. So I went through perimenopause really struggling with depression and just newfound experiences and sleeplessness and aches and frozen shoulder, all sorts of pains and challenges in perimenopause. So I couldn't wait for it all to be over. And when my period stopped, and then I was in menopause at age 49, which is early, suddenly I gained 50 pounds. Boom. And so I did everything I knew how to do already, tighten things up and eat all the right things. And I was a marathon runner, so I'll just run more, and nothing worked. And so after 4.5 years of really being, I ached head to toe. It was just a hormonal mess and inflammatory mess. And, after 4.5 years, short story, but I went home to Colorado to visit my mom where I grew up. And she said, let's use this time that you're home to turn the weight around.
Ooh.
Like, boom, we're just going to
thank you, Mom.
steer this ship in a different direction. Bada bing, it's like, not so easy. Like, I haven't been trying. And I wailed and cried like a 5-year-old having a temper tantrum, as only an adult daughter can do with her annoying mom. And I have to say, she was just the best mom ever. It was just, I like to laugh about that. Let's just turn the weight around. And she listened, and she said, let's pray for an answer, because I tried everything. And that night, for the first time ever, I Googled the same thing I always had, like menopausal, hormonal, stubborn fat, help me. And I read about intermittent fasting for the first time, and I watched videos, and I listened to things, and I read stuff, and I stayed up all night, and I said to her in the morning, well, thank you. I found something I'm going to try, and it sounds a little crazy that I'm going to stop eating and eat in an eating window. And she said that made perfect sense to her, and asked how she could support me. So I did actually use that time that I was home with her to try something new after I had tried everything. So that's what happened. And then I was able to lose 51 pounds in 15 months. But the miracle was, and this is really the foundation of all my coaching, is that I felt better within 3 days. I had the experience of feeling more like myself. We know, and there aren't even words for how does feeling like yourself feel? How does feeling better feel? How does the fog lifting and the clarity lining up and the energy feeling stable? It's like when you feel like yourself, it's just miraculous. And so I'm on a mission to have all people eat in an eating window, and you get to say when it is, how long it is. You get to say what you eat. You get to say how you move your body. But with having an intermittent fasting regimen as the foundation for your wellness plan, or all your wellness, having that intermittent fasting schedule makes everything better. So that's why it's really fun for me to talk to you.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited about this, and this couldn't come any sooner. Here's why. Usually my normal weight is about, like, let's say 130 to 140, right?
Yeah, there's a range. It never hits a number and stays there. It's a zone.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm usually about 130 to 140. And this is where I say this is going to be totally a therapy session where I bow out as a therapist. And right now, I kid you not, the other day, I totally hit 156. And I was like, Laurie, I shit you not. I looked at the scale and I was like, well, okay, you did it. You did it. You somehow managed to hit the 156 mark. And I have a small frame. I'm small, but I'm not small right now. And it's like the clothes were already not fitting, right? Mm-hmm. And the clothes that I used to wear weren't looking as sexy as I once looked. And like, I just started to feel it. Like I started to just feel it. And it's like, what the hell is happening? When I stepped on that scale and it read 156, it was like, damn, Veronica, you got it. I keep on promoting to everybody. It starts with you. That change starts with you. However, what I realized was, okay, wait a minute. You're promoting to everybody. It starts with you. Change starts with you. But at what point do you turn around and go, it starts right here with you? And I'm pointing to myself right now as, I'm looking at Laurie, but it's like, no, it literally starts with you. So what happened? What's going on? And I tend to go into like, what happened? Where did it go? How, what are the consequences of it? Right. What are the benefits? I totally go into therapist mode. And it dawned on me last night when I took my daughter, my oldest, out to dinner. She stays at the dorms and every now and then we hook up. Took her out to dinner and that excitement happened. That excitement of, oh my gosh, what am I going to eat? Ooh, I get to eat anything. And I started romanticizing, food. And it was like, what do we want for an appetizer? Do I want a margarita or am I going to go without a margarita? And I was like, I don't want to drink. I have to, I try to make sure I don't drink and drive at all. But it was like, what do I want right now? And that's the thing that started to excite me is I get to pick and choose whatever I want. And so I'm looking at the menu and it's like, God, do I really want to have this right now? Do I really want to leave here? I already don't fit in these pants, just being honest. And do I really want to leave here after eating? Because we went to a Mexican restaurant. After eating enchiladas, rice and beans, and having chips, and then having an appetizer, do I want to really leave here feeling nasty again? Do I really want that? And it was like, no. What do I really want to eat right now? Like, take out celebration. What am I really hungry for? And I looked at the soup and it's like, I'm not even really that hungry. I just want a soup. And when the guy came, I immediately went to enchiladas because that's my go-to. But it was like, wait a minute. I don't want enchiladas. I'll have soup. And he's like, oh yeah, we have the best soup, which just enticed me. It just enticed me more. But it was like, holy shit. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm talking to Laurie. So I'm going to have a total come to Jesus moment tomorrow. But it was one of those things. And so I know I'm not the only one struggling with this. I know I'm not because I hear women all the time with this. So it's like, okay, I'm going to show up to this podcast and I'm going to show up open, honest, vulnerable. And I show up that way anyway, but this is a little bit more personal to me. And so I want to make sure it's like, okay, let's go. Like, does this really work? Is this another thing that I'm going to do that I've done intermittent fasting, if I'm being completely honest, because I used to have a trainer. I've done intermittent fasting, but it wasn't on purpose. I've done it with like, oh shit, it's like 2:00. I should eat right now. And I'm a clinician, so I'm back to back with clients. And then I also have a podcast. And then I also teach a whole bunch. So it's like time escapes me. Like, and I'm not trying to use that as an excuse. I'm just giving you my honest, just being honest right now. And so it's 2:00 and it's like, oh shit. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm definitely intermittent fasting now because it's 2:00 and I still haven't had anything to eat. Awesome. And then at night it's like, oh shit, I just need to eat right now. I'm starving and I'm ready to kill my husband because food's not ready. And then I eat and it's like this big old huge meal. And then I tell myself I'm going to work out, but I don't because I'm so tired from the long day. So does this even really work? I guess I'm just going to hit you hard, Laurie. Does this even work?
Yes. So then we get to talk about what is it, right? What is it? What is intermittent fasting?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to back up for a second. I love what you shared about your thought process at the restaurant, looking at the menu. And here's why. Here's where you went in a different direction than most people do. So one of my things that I say all the time is intermittent fasting with me. If you have me as your coach, right?
Yeah.
Mindset is everything.
Everything.
So one of the things with me is this isn't about, air quotes, being good. We're always trying to be good. This isn't about being good. It's about feeling good.
Yep.
So there you were in the restaurant. You're excited to see your daughter. You're excited to have this food, celebratory meal. Yay. You're looking forward to those enchiladas. And all of a sudden, your thinking went in a direction of what's going to actually make me feel good.
Yeah.
You didn't say anything about, I guess I have to try to be good and have the fill in the blanks. No, it was the context in how you thought your way through that was all about feeling it. Now, did your tight pants, were they a factor? Yes.
Hell yeah.
It doesn't feel good, right? But I love that you were able to think that through in that way and come to a conclusion that you could have something delicious and celebratory and have an amazing conversation and enjoy the soup because somehow you could feel like that was going to make you feel better. So when the conversation and the thinking is all about feeling great, as opposed to being good, then we're going in the same direction. So with feeling good and quieting the noise, like when you said everybody out there understands, because food is on our minds all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the food is designed to keep us addicted, which isn't our fault.
Yeah.
And so we're hungry all the time, thinking about food all the time, trying to be good. And it's torture and it never stops. And then we have the reminders of we're getting bigger and puffier and more bloated and achy and the clothes are too tight. And I don't want to spend money on new clothes, but I mean, it never stops. So here's one thing that works about intermittent fasting. So now let's get to the question of, does it work?
Yeah.
Eating in an eating window and fasting clean, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Quiets the noise. So there's a reason why fasting is part of all religious, spiritual meditation traditions.
Yeah.
Because those wise people know that if you go out alone in the quiet to have some sort of awakening or have new thoughts or feel more creative or just get out of a stressfulness, that not eating helps a lot.
Yeah.
So
can you be more clear with that? Because I want to make sure that people that might be struggling with eating disorders don't hear that and go, oh yeah, I'm on the right track.
There's a difference between a disorder and something that you're consciously choosing. The relationship with food for an intermittent faster gets remarkably wonderful. Okay. Yeah. So this isn't about restricting or deprivation or control.
Thank you. I want to make sure we hit that.
And so I love Dr. Jason Fung in Toronto, who wrote the obesity code and the diabetes code, and more recently the cancer code, is that when people ask him about, isn't this just an eating disorder, some sort of starvation diet? He's like, wait a minute. No, if it would be absurd to tell people that they shouldn't wash their hands because they might get OCD. So we don't, right? Okay.
Yeah, love
So
that analogy.
is an overwashing of hands, maybe that's a stereotype, but could that be a symptom, something that people with OCD do? Yes. But just because people who aren't dealing with that disorder want to wash their hands doesn't mean it's going to lead to that disorder. Okay. So they are separate. They are not the same. And what people find so immediately, as I did for myself and all my clients, is that within a few days, you start feeling better than you can remember feeling. And so to love your food later in your eating window, and we discover together, what is that? We can talk about, how do you start and how do you keep going, and how do you discover and settle in. But basically, intermittent fasting is not a diet. It's a timing. So there's nothing about it. Now, a lot of people link it with the ketogenic diet, which I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. So it's a pattern of time, and there you take the 24-hour day and you chop it in two. There's the fasting hours and the eating window, and you get to say when it is. Now, I've been a certified health coach for a long time. I got the certification in a year-long program just because it was my personal passion.
Yeah.
And but I never wanted to be the food police, and I'm still not. I help people discover the foods that, I always say, eat the foods you love and the foods that love you back. So stop eating foods that make you feel horrible. And most people aren't clear on which foods make them feel unwell. And fasting helps with that. There's this quiet discernment that when you're fasting clean for a good portion of the 24-hour period, you can start hearing the communication that your body is giving regarding the quantity of food it needs today and the nutrients it needs today. So the body doesn't have any calorie receptors. It doesn't recognize calories. It's a human construct that isn't it. Another Jason Fung, he says that calories exist in physics, but not in physiology. Our body has no calorie receptors. It has nutrient receptors. So it tells us the food it needs. And we can start getting the communication when we're an intermittent faster because we have that quiet time.
So so it sounds like it's a 6-hour window, right?
Oh no, whatever you want. So I recommend starting with 12. It's like, what? Okay. So here, everybody, listen up. So
let's do it, ladies. Grab
listen up.
Paper.
So Veronica, what time will you close your eating window today? Meaning what time? And don't be tough on yourself. Be realistic. Yeah.
So, let's say we usually eat at like 8. We'll usually have dinner at like around 7 or 8. That's when we'll eat. Okay. Great. So closing the time window, meaning that's it. After 8:30, no more. Window close.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. So for you, 8:30. Now other people are like, oh, I eat an early dinner at 4. I'll shut that thing at 4:30 or 5. So everybody's different. And so the starting point is different. And what you'll do is you'll decide today what time you're closing your eating window. You'll shut that eating window. And at this point, the fasting begins. And you will be clean fasting. What is that?
Yes, let's go there. Let's go there. Right. I'm closing the window. Now what?
Plain water.
Okay.
Plain bitter black coffee. Plain unflavored bitter black or green tea.
Okay.
And there are a few other things we'll talk about later, electrolytes, minerals, and
all right. So I got water. I don't drink any of that stuff. Coffee or tea. Only water. Great. All right.
So some people are like, do I have to have coffee? No. That means you are really a purist and you're going to have plain.
Can I have sparkling water?
Plain unflavored sparkling water.
Beautiful. Yes. I'm in it. Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Here's why. You can find anything on the internet, right?
Yes.
That I heard, so-and-so, right? People will say, oh, a little squeeze of lemon. Oh, well, apple cider vinegar helps with the digestion. Oh, even people are like, I drink pickle juice for the electrolytes. I drink bone broth because it helps me get through a fast. It's like, wait, that's food, people. That's nutritious. Those have nutrients in them. That gets your digestion going. So here are two reasons why I beat this drum of the clean fast. So I'm not the food police. I am the clean fasting police, because it makes fasting easier. I know that doesn't make sense. It's like, but a little lemon will make it easier. You know? No, anything that has nutrients or sweetness or fruity flavor or food flavor will do a couple things. It'll get digestion going. Those nutrients will get the brain excited, like, good, food's coming. And then when you don't feed it because you think you're fasting, but you gave it that little lemon, the brain is like, gets grumpy. It's like, wait, you said you were feeding me. I aligned. I prepared myself to receive food. Where is it? Yeah. So fasting clean, plain unflavored water, plain unflavored black coffee, plain unflavored bitter green or black tea. That doesn't mean chamomile or mint or ginger or lemongrass. Plain green tea, black tea. If you like, I don't like tea. I don't drink tea. So it makes me feel awful. So I'm a plain black coffee gal and a plain water gal. And I like some sparkling water too. So then go drink your plain water, go to bed. You might find you go to bed a little early because you're like, what am I supposed to be doing if I can't watch Ted Lasso without a glass of wine, right? So you might go to bed early and then you sleep and you wake up and you add 12 hours to when you closed your eating window.
12 hours.
Your eating window closed at 8:30, and at 8:30 a.m., that's when you can have your candy coffee. This is what I call creamy sweet coffee. Everybody loves their creamer. You know? That's when you can have a meal, have your candy coffee. And then for some people, that 12 hours is a stretch. If you wake up at 6 and you're used to eating the second you wake up, and you've got to wait till that clock strikes 12 hours. For some people, that's really challenging. Other people are like, nah, I don't eat breakfast anyway. Yeah, sure. It might taste terribly, but I'll have a black coffee. I'll suffer through the morning and eat, after 12 hours. Other people are like, 12 hours is no problem. Well, I could go 14 or 16 on the first day. Okay. Do what has you feel well. And it's not a competition. This is not the fasting Olympics. Yes. You can ease in. Okay. So you hit that 8:30 and then you'll have a 12-hour eating window on your first day. And then on the second day, go a little longer, 15 minutes longer, 30 minutes longer, go a little longer, go a little longer. Okay. And you may feel at some point like, oh, okay, I can have my water. I can have a black coffee. I'm just going to make it through the morning and see how long I go. Yeah. And the thing to realize is that hunger is, Jen Stevens wrote a book called Delay, Don't Deny, and subsequently a New York Times bestseller called Fast, Feast, Repeat, which I really recommend. But in her first book, Delay, Don't Deny, she says there's a whole chapter called Hunger is Not an Emergency.
I need that repeated. Hunger is not an emergency.
It isn't. Now, if you're shaky, you should eat. Yeah. For sure. Shakiness and strong ravenous feelings that don't subside. Yeah. You should eat. And that doesn't mean you failed. Your body was strongly communicating to you that you need to eat now. But thoughts of food, a stomach rumbling, kind of a funny, empty-ish feeling in our stomach, that's not actually hunger. That's an alert system.
Good. I'm glad you were able to differentiate the difference. Yeah, if you're hungry and shaking, about to pass out, definitely eat. But I think a good amount of us, because we've been eating unhealthy and kind of like binge eating, we get into that mode of, I guess I am hungry, and then we start to, again, go back to romanticizing food. I can eat this versus, wait a minute, are you really hungry? And I think those body signals are a bit distorted because of how we've been treating our body. So those signals are a bit off. Would you agree?
100%. So people who are interested in this idea of intuitive eating will be happy to know that intermittent fasting makes that easier. right? So when you're eating later in an eating window of your choice and your design, and you're learning to differentiate between these different hunger signals, hunger feelings, and know that our physiology is such that our body is designed to alert us to not forget to eat. But our ancestors didn't have the luxury of food an arm's length away 24/7. So when they got a hunger signal, a hunger alert, because the body really is interested in keeping us alive.
Yeah.
Our ancestors had to go find the food, right? So it wasn't just in a fridge, or that they didn't have it in the house. If they had a house, if you think way back, right? They had to wait till the morning because we're not nocturnal hunters. So human beings throughout all time have had to wait for food. And as such, when we're waiting for food, we get very focused, alert, and clear. Our energy doesn't wane. Our energy stays bright. And that's why a lot of competitive athletes are now training and even competing in a fasted state because their performance is better. Mm-hmm. So this idea of having to fuel up before you work out is it's just a myth.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of fuel on board. even when people are at their ideal weight. So I'm 58 years old. I'm at my ideal weight, and still my body has about 20 to 23% body fat on it. So like a quarter of my whole self is fat. It's fuel. I'm not going to run out. There's no chance, no chance of ever running out. So, all right. So what's coming up for you as you're thinking, Veronica, about, so you ate your meal, your wonderful soup, celebratory soup last night, and you'll stop eating today at 8:30. And then let's see, I like how you talked about cluing in to actual hunger. Yeah. So inside the eating window, I always say, it's your eating window. You get to say what you eat and when you eat. But one of the biggest things I work with people on is identifying how often we eat, because someone just handed us a cookie. So suddenly it's in our mouth. Or you walk by a candy bowl, or there's nuts on your desk and you're just sitting there at the computer, popping them in like mindlessly. So if we can actually then take that eating window, whether it's 6 hours, as you said, or 2 hours or 10 hours, and start noticing hunger and satiety, and eating to satisfy hunger and eating to satiety. See, that's one of the problems with dieting, is we're eating teeny tiny little unsatisfying meals all day long. Yeah. And maybe the calories add up to 1,200. But if we squished those same calories into an eating window, the enjoyment of the meal is so satisfying. Like when we're done eating, we're satisfied. How did that soup feel when you finished eating yesterday?
So great.
Yeah, you were done. Mm-hmm. You'd had enough.
Yep. Didn't even need more chips, so it was good to go.
Good to go. So what people end up doing is they'll kind of forego eating all day because we're busy, and we won't even count things like, oh, I had a little snack in the car. I ate the rest of my food off my kid's plate. That doesn't count. Or, why do we even do that? And then, as you said, comes the end of the day. It's like, oh my gosh, I haven't even eaten all day long, which isn't really intermittent fasting. There's a difference because you've had fruity drinks and hint water and, there's all this little bite of this, a little bite of that. Right. And then you eat a ton. And then people eat just lingering throughout. So people basically eat or are ingesting flavors from the minute we wake up to the minute we go to sleep.
Yeah. So for us to follow this, what would that look like then? So if we weren't to go ahead and, well, is that one of the rules, that you don't do these snacks and you sit down and eat a meal? Like, what does this look like?
So it's very important that when you eat, you are conscious of eating to satiety. It's like, what is that?
Yeah, let's go.
There is a feeling that So see, this is 100% experiential. Right now, we're just talking about it. Talk. And I try and impart enough information and inspiration and motivation that people are like, yeah, I'm gonna try that. But it has to be experienced. Like I could say the brain fog lifted and I felt like myself and I had amazing energy and focus. And until you experience that yourself and you're like, oh, that's what she was talking about. This is so unfamiliar to people. So the feeling of satiety, it starts with hunger is now gone, which you have to be thinking, right? You have to be aware, like check in with your body. Hunger is now gone. And there's this experience of kind of like a sigh, like you're eating, and you're tasting it and it's delicious. And then you're like, oh, okay, I'm not really hungry anymore. Hunger's gone. And then you can kind of put the fork down and, that is satiety.
How do you, so I'm glad, take us there a little bit more and with a little bit farther in depth. Here's why. Because for most of us, when we're eating, we'll eat to hit that pleasure zone. And it tastes so good. And we want it again and we want it again. And then after a while we're eating and it's like, I'm still looking for that original first bite feeling. And I'm not getting it.
So good.
Right? So I want, can you speak more to that? So like, let's say somebody's listening to you. Let's say somebody's listening to you right now. They're listening to us and they have food in front of them. Okay. Walk us through this. We just got our food. Walk us through it.
Well, there's intermittent fasters say that food never tasted so good. And it's kind of obvious. It's like, well, if you waited all day to eat, of course it tastes good. But it's also physiological. It's that there is this anticipation. That's why Jen Stevens' book, Delay, Don't Deny. It's like, I'm not denying myself of the pleasure of the food. I'm just having it later. And so when you have put your body into a fasted state, which puts the body into a deep cellular repair, like head to toe, every cell, and balancing our most important hormone, insulin, and tapping into our fat stores for fuel. And we feel so good. And then when you stop and actually how many people actually put food on a plate? Not many. People stand at the fridge and stand at the counter and eat at the computer and eat in the car. So first off, put food on a plate and sit down. Put your butt on a comfortable, where we all are aching for more quiet time. So give yourself this gift of, I'm just, going to eat food on a plate.
Yes.
And appreciate it for a second and breathe and take a bite and taste it and do one thing. And you will notice that when at the point where you feel satisfied. And there's an idea in Japan, on Okinawa, called Hari Hachibu, Hari Hachibu, which means eat till 80% full. Now, what the heck is 80% full? I don't know.
Yes.
But when you discover that for yourself, it's like, well, if you know what stuffed is, then you know what maybe 100% full feels like you really shouldn't eat anymore. You know what that feels like, because you won't feel good if you do. So then what's just right before that point? 80% full, Hari Hachibu.
Yeah.
And so it's an awareness. And the thing is that we got to know, people, you got to know that ultra processed food doesn't allow the satiety hormones to work correctly. So that's why with the ultra processed food, we just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. You can't do that with broccoli and spinach and eggs and steak.
Yeah.
You can't just keep eating. But with the ultra processed food, it's designed with a bliss point of utter happiness that really mostly happens before we eat it.
Gotcha.
And then it's designed to keep us with the perfect sweetness, the perfect crunch, the perfect saltiness to not be able to stop. So to answer your question, Veronica, one aspect of being mindful and eating to satiety and enjoying the pleasure of the food and the nutrients is to eat real food.
Yeah.
So I put all ultra processed food for myself. Back in my 20s, I just decided there were all these foods that I would categorize for myself as not food. People are like, how did you stop eating refined sugar and drinking Diet Coke? And I'm like, I just decided it wasn't food. And I know that sounds like, oh, I just did that and then it was easy. But, these changing of habits is a big deal. I really recommend the book Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. Is an incredible book to start shifting.
Yeah. I like what you said when you said, I'm not denying myself food, I'm delaying it. And I also liked, just, you already know what full feels like, and it feels absolutely disgusting, and then you have an idea of what, when you're full, right? You have when you're at your 100%. So what is right at that 80? And I love the term. I forgot. You said habu something.
Hari hachi boo.
Hari hachi boo. Hari hachi boo, ladies. Write that down. Hari hachi boo. I don't care if you're sitting at the dinner table and you're like, okay, I'm eating till I'm hari hachi boo. So that 80%, which involves it sounds like it involves mindfulness. If you're eating, you're eating, right? I'm not doing anything else. I'm paying attention. I'm in tuned with the flavors. I'm in tuned with eating versus I'm eating and I'm watching TV.
Here's the other factor though.
Yeah.
It has to be nutritious.
Yep.
Right. So you could be eating something. It's important to eat the foods you love and the foods that love you back, that are giving you what the life energy, the life force that your body needs. So let's view food as fuel and as pleasure, but not forego one or the other, right? So if, people eat dissatisfying, unpleasant little diet meals, there's no satisfaction in that, not only from the not being able to eat enough food, but the food itself is unsatisfying. So this is part of the equation, is if you can be fasting clean and healing your body during the fasting hours, and then nourishing and relishing in the delight of delicious food, and being mindful during the eating window, and you eat a meal to satiety, and then pause, go about your day.
Yeah.
And notice how we just want to pop more things in our mouth. Just notice. Don't try and correct anything. Just notice. And then what you can say to yourself is, wait, am I actually hungry right now? I think I'll save that for my dinner later. What time is dinner later? Dinner is at 7:30. Great. Can I wait until 7:30 to eat again? And it's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. And then you eat to satiety again. We are so used to just grab and go and grab this and rush and eat without thinking and pop things in our mouth, and that we don't even think counts. We're like, I didn't really eat a meal. Yeah, but you ate all day.
Yep.
So.
Yep. No, I totally agree. I love that. So we're doing 8:30 plus 12 hours. And then little by little, we're increasing by 15-minute increments, right? What would be essentially the go-to goal? So we're doing that 12-hour fasting. What is essentially the goal? Like what?
I would say within a week or 10 days, excuse me, you want to get to 16 hours. So we take the 24 hours and we divide it in two, and that would be 16-8. A 16-hour clean fast and an 8-hour eating window. Now, some people could have a meal, a snack, and a meal in 8 hours. Some, it's divided how you please. I think that for most women, depending on your goals, and really most people, but physiologically we're different, men and women, and our hormones work very differently. That maybe if a woman is still pre-menopause, that she do 16-8 the few days before her cycle, before her period, and then after her period, you can really tighten it up. So some people will find, depending on the week of the month, that You could do a 20-hour fast and eat and a snack and a meal in a 4-hour window for a bunch of days, and then settle back into 18-6, where maybe you'll discover that your jam is mostly a 6-hour eating window, but there are a few days a month that you'd like an 8-hour eating window.
Yeah.
And then there are a few days a month that you're like, I'm tightening it up. I'm having a 4-hour eating window. It's like going long on Monday, or, so new fasters tend to, it works better for people who are learning this regimen to have it be consistent for about a month so that you can get into a rhythm.
Yeah. Don't jump to that 16 off the bat, ladies. I can already feel you guys doing that.
Yeah. So, but if some people are like, you know what, if I can eat my breakfast at 10 and lunch at 1 and dinner at 7 or 6, and at 5, sorry, and close my eating window by 6, like 10 to 6, that's 8 hours. That's a great way to live. And then settle in and allow this idea of appetite correction to kick in. We have an appetite center in our brain, and it regulates and governs the hunger and satiety hormones, among other things. And once you get in that groove, 10 to 6 or noon to 8 or 8 to 4, like you get to say, settle in there. And it's really important to settle in and focus on feeling good. Eat the foods that have you feel well. Discover the eating window that has you feel well. And keep our eyes off the scoreboard. And mostly for people, the scale is the scoreboard. The scale, we think the scale tells us how we're doing in life. It ruins our day. It wrecks our self-esteem. It is not our friend mostly. It doesn't actually tell us much.
What is one, if a woman is listening to this, right, and she's taking notes and doing all of these things, what is one thing you would like her to get from this lesson?
To appreciate the quiet and appreciate the idea that this is the shift in mindset to feeling good as opposed to looking to something external for how you're doing. No, you know how you're doing. How do you feel? How are you sleeping? How's your digestion? Are you celebrating your body for all its wondrous healing that it's doing when you're fasting?
Yep.
And to get our attention off an external guide, a list of food you're supposed to eat. And if you don't eat those things, then you're not good. If you eat the things that aren't on the list, you're bad. And those foods are bad. And so you're bad and you have to try to be good. And no.
Take it out. Take it out.
And the other thing I would say is that intermittent fasting isn't a thing, right? Like it's not it's not a thing. It would be like relating to sleep, like a thing I'm going to try. Like I would call you and go, Veronica, I heard about this amazing thing. Okay, here, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Here's what you do. Every night at a certain time, you get horizontal and you close your eyes. And then after then you hear a bell ring and you sit up and you feel refreshed. It's amazing. I'm going to try it. I heard it's really good. I'm going to try it for a while and see if it works. Do you want to do it with me?
Hell yeah.
It's absurd, right? It's not a thing that we're going to try for a while. Our bodies are designed to pause from eating. Our bodies are designed to heal in a fasting state every day. It's just we didn't know it. So it's just like sleep. The thing I want people to know is it's not a thing you're going to try to see if it works for you. The thing to try is what pattern works for you. What schedule of eating and not eating works for you, because there is a sweet spot for each person where you can reach your health and weight goals. You can turn around your blood sugar issues and ward off Alzheimer's and ward off type 2 diabetes and normalize your blood pressure and have your thyroid get balanced and like head to toe. And, one of the surprises for me physically was this debilitating plantar fasciitis, which I don't know if you've ever had it, but it hurts. Whoa. Wow. People out there are like, oh, it hurts so much. And it went away within about 3 to 4 months of my intermittent fasting. And that never crossed my mind that fasting boosts our immunity and reduces inflammation. And like I said, there's this phenomenon called autophagy, which is a deep cellular repair that happens when we're in the fasted state. So here I am, almost 59 years old, and my hair is growing thick. My nails are strong and hard, and my eyesight improved, and my gum health improved, and head to toe. I'm a much healthier person.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Totally going to try this. Laurie, how can we find you?
My website is Fast Forward Wellness. So my business is Fast Forward, and people can go to the website and see, upcoming group programs and one-on-one coaching, but everybody can enter in your name and email address, and I'll send you a free guide on how to start. And so it has this step-by-step how to start and a lot of the health benefits, and it's motivating and inspiring. Motivation is short-lived, though. I'm sure you've noticed. That's why podcasts like yours and classes like mine are so important, because we need each other.
Yes,
we need each other to stay inspired and uplifted and on track and heading the direction we want to go in.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Laurie, thank you so much for coming on. This was absolutely amazing. I learned so much. I have so many notes.
I want to hear how you're doing. I really, it makes my heart sing to hear how people are doing, and that you're trying and what you're tinkering and how you're changing it to work for you. So this is super flexible. And I want to hear from you and hear back from you.
Hell yeah, Laurie, you are. I love the fact that it's already something we're doing. It's none of us are waking up every single 5 seconds and eating something, if you were, you'd have some definite, a mental health disorder along with that. We don't sleep, we start to hallucinate. Right. So we're already doing this. It's just, I love that you just said, what you just said, it's developing a pattern that works best for you. And it's staying away from the diets. It's staying away from what we need to do. It's more of, okay, how can we help our body work for us? How can we help our body get to that state where it feels healthy? And we are all getting older. And the fact that you mentioned your eyesight's improving. And I've noticed that with just kind of doing what I've been doing that has been unhealthy. It's I'm starting to notice things with my body, and it's I need to treat it better. I totally need to treat it better. So I'm so glad you jumped on, and I'm so glad we're doing this. And I can't wait for this episode to go live, because I know we all need it. I know we all need it.
We don't have to buy into that idea that it just gets harder and it's all downhill from here, and my body is just going to be the total breakdown, and I just have to feel worse and worse and worse. No. So I'm in the business of having people feel better and better and better.
Yes. Laurie, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Veronica.
Absolutely. Many women lose their own identity in the shadow of being a mom and a wife. We are a community of women who support each other. We leave perfectionism behind to become empowered and unapologetic. I want to personally invite you to join our Girl Gang. It's a free Facebook community for women just like you. Go to www.facebook.com/groups/empowered and unapologetic. See you there. What's up, ladies? Just want to let you guys know that your ratings and reviews for this podcast are greatly appreciated. If you love this podcast, please go to iTunes right now, write a review, rate the episode, and subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends.
Addiction impacts all of us. Addiction's consequences run through all of us. From ourselves to our loved ones and through our communities, addiction creates so much loss and grief. My name is Dwayne Osterlin, and I'm the host of the Addicted Mind podcast, a show featuring personal stories, expert guests, and vital information about addiction and addiction recovery. We'll talk with leading treatment providers to discuss the latest research and treatment options for this devastating disease and advocate for mental health awareness. We discuss topics like the importance of creating a community of support to helping loved ones to some of the latest research on psychedelic medicines. The Addicted Mind podcast has been about creating hope, listening to stories of many amazing people that have overcome addiction and are thriving. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, subscribe to the Addicted Mind podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or check out theaddictedmind.com. New episodes every Monday. See you there.
Hey there, This is Casey McGuire Davidson, host of the Hello Someday podcast. I'm an ex-red wine girl turned life coach who helps busy women change their relationship with alcohol. I spent 20 years climbing the corporate ladder while drinking a bottle of wine a night to unwind. In the Hello Someday podcast, my goal is to teach you the tried and true secrets of creating and living a life you don't want to escape from. Each week, I'll bring you tools, lessons, and conversations to help you drink less and live more. I'll teach you how to navigate our drinking obsessed culture without a buzz and how to turn the decision to stop drinking from your worst case scenario to the best decision of your life. You can find new episodes of the Hello Someday podcast every Thursday, wherever you listen. And I hope you check it out.
It's easy to blame ourselves for our struggles with alcohol. We see people around us being able to control their drinking without any consequences, yet no matter what we try, we can't seem to figure it out for ourselves. My name is Jillian Teets, and I am the host of the Sober Powered podcast, where I use my biochemistry background to explain the latest research in addiction and help you understand both why you drink the way you do and how to develop the skills and mindset you need to find freedom from alcohol. I discuss topics like why we think about our drinking 24/7, why we have no off switch, and why we crave alcohol. If you're struggling with your drinking or you know someone who is, then I hope that you will check out the Sober Powered podcast. New episodes every Friday. See you there.
I'm Madeline, and I'm the host of the Happiest Sober podcast. I got sober in my 20s after a decade of gray area drinking, and the greatest plot twist of all time was realizing that alcohol, the thing that I thought made my life the most happy and fun and exciting, was actually the exact thing preventing me from living my happiest and best life. My mom is 40 years sober, and she joins me on my podcast very often. I like to call her my part-time co-host, and I also bring you solo episodes where I share my top tips, tricks, and mindset shifts in sobriety, and lots of how-tos for navigating all the things sober, from weddings to parties to holidays to bachelorette parties to trips. I'm also joined by so many guests who come on and share their sober stories, and they're all so inspiring. I'm here to show you that life doesn't end when you quit drinking. In fact, it's very much the opposite. And no matter what your relationship was with alcohol, life can be the absolute happiest when you're sober. New episodes come out every Tuesday. You can listen to Happiest Sober podcast wherever you get your podcasts.